Today, I want to talk to you about abstract expression. In the painting you just saw, you see some colors, some textures, some clothing pattern torn up, glued on, some mark making using graphite sticks, water-soluble graphite sticks, which I really enjoy for mark making because water-soluble graphite sticks are water soluble. So you can make a mark, then you can add water with either a spray bottle or a wet brush. And the graphite starts to sort of disintegrate and become sort of like a watercolor. So you get a different look when you're using that kind of material. I believe abstract expression is a feeling. So when you're painting abstract expressionist works, you're not really trying to capture a landscape or a portrait of someone or something. You're not painting the things as they are in front of you. You're painting what you feel from the inside. Now, that's a lot of times very hard to relate to someone else visually because they don't know what you feel. So you're using colors, you're using texture, you're using different things to express what's on the inside. And when you bring it forward, it's always a little bit nerve-wracking because people usually don't understand. And that's the whole point. I feel like abstract expression is for you to feel and express and release. And it's up to everybody else to crack their heads trying to figure out what it is. This is why abstract expression is actually very hard, because it's not something you say, I can do that. It's something that comes from within. Take this piece, for example. There's an expression happening here. There's not a subject matter, really. We do see some things that resemble strings, but to me they resemble nurturing and energy. In this piece we see a little bit of fabric that I've used, applied it to the piece. Also, I'm trying to have a narrative about nurture and what that looks like to me. A lot of lace, a lot of pink. Red reminds me of a rose. We see some florals. We see clothing patterns. Clothing patterns remind me of sewing and my grandmother and women in my life. And this is an example of a piece that's abstract expression, as opposed to one of these pieces that's a little bit more controlled. There is something being planned out here. There are things drawn that will later be painted, kind of filling in the blanks. There are different styles in which you can paint. Here's another piece. This resembles a little bit more of sort of like a landscape, something sort of magical, sort of mystical. We see a cloud of energy. We see some sort of entity that doesn't resemble a person. Mostly really represents a thing. Could be energy, could be wind, could be a feeling that you get. Now in this piece I've started mixing abstract expression, which you see in the background. You see the expressive mark making. You see the colors being blended in together. I'm using cyanotypes. I'm using acrylics. And then I'm later adding certain things to kind of present an idea. For example, this photograph I took from a Life magazine, one of those vintage Life magazines. I thought it was just so beautiful to see two kids just being bashful, and you can tell there's an energy there between them. They love each other. They like being in each other's company. So I wanted to add a little bit of narrative to that by adding the word amor, which means love in Spanish. Why? Because Spanish is my first language and I'm from Mexico. And there is racism all around the world. And when I see something like this, it's beautiful. And I want to put it in the forefront and create a narrative around it. I like to create in many different styles. For example, this is one of my latest pieces. It's a butterfly. I'm very drawn to nature. I love nature. So I painted this as a sort of kind of ode to nature. And then I do stuff like this. And it's always changing. I like to express myself. The world is so large and we have so little time here. And so I try to play with all the styles that I can and not commit to just one style. At the beginning, when I started painting, I was really in a different place mentally. And so abstract expression was the main thing that I did to escape the world. I feel like we all kind of have our things that we do. Some like to play video games, some like to get lost in music, some like to go and hike, like to go on a walk, like to go just outside or go inward. Some people meditate. And now more and more I'm leaning into meditation in order to connect with myself as opposed to abstract expression. So now I'm left with these pieces that are a little bit more on the planned side. They bring me a different kind of joy to make. They are very time consuming. But abstract expression will always be my first love. And I hope you learned a little bit about abstract expression today, and that you visit my studio when you get a chance here in Houston.